Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with another take on Abzan. This is a list very similar to Harry1232, who's been playing around with obviously Abzan Maverick, but with a version with 4 Elvish Reclaimer, a copy of Depths, and a copy of Stage. And this is really to have some sort of I win button within the deck, which is pretty cool. I really like the innovation, the work towards something other than just a mid-range deck that wins through smaller creatures and, you know, being able to put together a 2020. A lot of decks can't handle, which is nice. So pretty cool to see this sort of build. With the Elvish Reclaimers, we also have a copy of Bojuka Bog, which I think is fine. With Reclaimer, it's a lot quicker than Knight of the Reliquary, which typically the fastest is going to be turn 3, which by then it's probably a little bit too slow. So having Reclaimer and then Bog open as early as turn 2, even though it's just one turn, a huge effect in Legacy. So pretty cool to have that. The only change I made was I dropped a Palace Jailer for a second Bowmaster. I just love Bowmaster. I think it's really well positioned. It works really well with Fiend Artisan, Grist, Cradle. It's a removal target for a lot of decks. So having a second copy is really cool. The board is pretty nice. We have Force of Vigor and Pick Your Poison for artifact decks. Pick Your Poison, obviously a new card, a sorcery speed removal spell for enchantments, artifacts, and creatures with flying. It does give your opponent the choice, which in some circumstances can lead to you not dealing with the threat you actually care about. Example, Insectile Operation and Murktide, Urza's Saga and Exploration, Bauble and Kappa Cannoneer. There's definitely a few situations where Pick Your Poison isn't going to work in your favor, but I think in this sort of list where we do have ways to go after multiple threats, it's going to work quite nicely for us. For Graveyard Hate, we have Faerie Macabre, which we can pick up through Once Upon a Time. Soulless Jailer. This is a card I actually had to read. It's a new card. I believe Newton's been playing it in Elves. 2 mana, artifact creature, 0/4. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. So straight away you think of Reanimate, creatures entering the battlefield. Obviously this means lands can't enter the battlefield either from something like a Renegade Rallier or Crucible of Worlds effect. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. So Echo of Eons in the graveyard. From exile, you're looking at something like Galvanic Relay. Soulless Jailer, pretty brutal on the swing back after a big relay effect. Soulless Jailer, just a really cool card. And obviously it's a one of, we can find it with the Fiend Artisan, so we can find it over 2 turns with Green Sun Zenith, which is really nice. There is also a Gato Teague and 2 Doorkeeper Thrulls. Just a really nice card to keep value off the table from opposing decks that have creatures or artifacts that really care about it. We don't have a Scrubland, which I'm going to give Harry the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we just don't need it, especially with the Plains and also the Bog. So an additional black source and then a Plains just being obviously a white card that you can rely on pretty heavily in a Wasteland format. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, Harry, keep doing what you're doing. Really cool to see the results you're getting and just the different builds you're playing with. Even the builds that there's like maybe 4 different iterations of this build that I saw you playing with. I believe the latest one has a Tidehollow Sculler in the sideboard, which is very cool. We've seen Elves pick up Mesmeric Fiend in the main deck, I believe. So yeah, all power to you. All right. I got a new mic as well. So hopefully it's a little bit better. You hear some of the quality come through. I'm still tweaking the settings for it, so give me a chance, but see how it plays out. And hey to the 6 of you watching on YouTube, sorry, Twitch, a big thank you. Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to explaining my lines as we go through a Legacy League. A lot of big names in the trophy race. Arkan on top. We have Valencia and Boba, who has, I believe, won a challenge in the past with Maverick and Depths. Maybe one of them. But he's definitely a fan of green-white. I believe they've actually gone and won a few challenges with different decks. A very good player, which is cool. But yeah, I'm very keen to see how Depths goes in this. It's really nice to have an alternate angle. Elvish Reclaimer also just a bit better against Orcish Bowmasters, being a 1-2, if not a 3-4. Reclaimer itself can just win games as well. A 3-4 against Bolt decks, sometimes pretty hard to deal with, so pretty happy to see how this plays out. Opponent last seen playing Ouphe or spells. Not too much we can do game one, other than have the endurance, but no green card. This hand is also a little bit rough. Like, we don't really have a game plan. It really relies on our opponent being a creature-based deck. We do have one piece of the combo, but yeah, I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. A little bit slower, but I don't mind it. We have the wants to potentially find a land into Mortuary. Cradle with Reclaimer and Noble and Grist is pretty cool. I probably like keeping this, and I think I like just bottoming the Grist. If we really want Grist, we can Green Suns for it. The only upside of having Grist in the opener is that we can play it turn 2 potentially through Noble Hierarch, but I think I kind of like keeping the mana and a pretty low curve hand as well as the ones to find another land. We'll see what we draw. Potentially even find a threat with it. If they are on Ouphe, obviously dealing with their combo through endurance would be a nice find. But we are only running 2 in the deck. Alright, opponent went to 4 cards. And they are actually passing. Okay, Ooze is pretty nice. We're going to start with the once. Okay. Here, I just want to find the Savannah. Play the Noble. And then obviously, if they're on Ouphe, having the Ooze up is pretty sweet. Could also play the Reclaimer, hold up Bog. But I like that turn 1 Noble into turn 2 Ooze, hold up Cradle. Allows us to build out the board a little bit quicker. Okay, we get a turn, which is really nice. Okay. Let's have a quick think. I might actually play the Reclaimer out using Noble Hierarch, play Cradle, and then we have Ooze open with a mana off the Savannah. And I think 1 mana against Ouphe is more than enough, especially if you eat Dread Return. So I think that's the play. Yeah, Reclaimer, Cradle, Ooze, pass. If they are on Ouphe, this might just be a concession, but you never know. There is a world as well where you could Green Suns for Collector Ouphe. Just does similar things, but it could also have game against a different style of combo deck. So that is going to pass. Okay. So they're at 6 cards and they've played nothing, which makes me really think they are going to be a combo deck. Which means I'm probably happy here to go for Green Suns for Collector Ouphe, as that just has a really nice stretch over things like Tess. How do I want to play this? I think what we want to do here is probably play Depths. We definitely don't want to play Bog because we want to think, or at least our opponent want to make our opponent think that we still have the Bog in the deck. So I think I'm happy to go Green Suns for Ouphe, and then hold up 2 mana for the Ooze, and then also play Depths, which just closes the game out pretty quick. So we attack for 3. Hold up getting Stage. Potentially there's a world where they're a combo deck and can maybe Burning Wish for Grape Shot to deal with our threats, but otherwise, apologies. It's looking pretty loose. All right. Rally is kind of cool. So funnily enough, I can't hold up 2 mana without using the Cradle. So I have to use the Cradle for Stage. So I think here we're actually just going to attack. Like, I might, yeah, we'll attack like this. And then we're still holding up Depths, plus potentially use Ooze. But not even a land from them. Obviously, I could have played a land, and it probably is best for me to play the Mortuary there. So they're now at 8 cards. Okay. We are going to board for combo. So what do we like? We like a lot of this, honestly. I really like the Thoughtseizes. The Faerie Macabres, most likely. Force of Vigors, typically. Gaddock Teague, Soulless Jailer. Things like Swords can come out. The Grist. The Rallier. Some number of Knights. Doorkeeper Thrull is pretty interesting as well, if they are going to be like Oracle. It also hits Chrome Mox. Could just play around with those sort of cards. Bowmaster, probably not as relevant if we do really put them on. Oops. Could see, like, I kind of want to keep the Fiends just because they are additional copies of these 4 cards. But I could see the Bowmasters. $24 lands, drop the Karakas, and then just keep a Bowmaster, maybe. Actually, quick think. 24 lands, obviously Dark Depths are 23 lands, which I think is still okay. Collector Ouphe. It might just be a Fiend. Fiend a little bit slow in this sort of matchup. Okay. Really want to have turn 0 or turn 1 interaction. Faerie Macabre the best. Okay, this is actually quite good. We have Faerie Macabre plus land into land off once, or potentially try to find something like Endurance as well. But we do have like Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. At worst case, we don't find a land. We then just have Green Suns for Noble Hierarch, and then Green Suns for a bear potentially. Also, the Reclaimer could come into the mix. Alright. Okay, so it is going to be a combo deck. There's Chrome Mox. Pitching a Narco. Okay, so Ouphe is most likely. I think the land kind of gives that away as well. Okay, so we have the Spy. They have one card left in hand. Alright, so double Narcomoeba tracks. 1, 2. So they do have Memory's Journey, but they don't currently have the green to flash it back, which is nice. So I believe what we're supposed to do here is just allow these two to resolve. They then have 3 creatures. They then go to flash back the Dread Return, targeting target creature, targeting the Oracle. But then we have Faerie Macabre, which plays around Pact Negation as well, which is pretty nice. I could see a world where it's very similar if you just take out the Narcomoebas. Ooh, Cabal. Get back Poxwalker. I think in response to this, I'm happy to cast the once and see if I can find Endurance. No. I don't think it really matters, but here we will take the land and then Fairy the Oracle. And the Poxwalker. They do now have like somewhat of a clock. So it isn't... I guess they also have 0 cards in the deck, so... they can't Memory's Journey either to put like cards back to keep drawing. Crop rotation. Okay. So they have 1 card left. I'm trying to think what they can do. It has to be Lotus Petal to give them a chance with Memory's Journey. Or they could Cabal. Yeah, like they can... They have 1 more therapy, but I don't think therapying us, even if they take all the Green Suns, they're still going to die in their upkeep. I think they're also realizing that. Ah, they can get back Wild Cantor. Ah, maybe I should have seen that because they can get back Wild Cantor. Are they still? Yeah, they can make... Yeah. Okay. That's very cool. Hopefully it doesn't matter. I wonder if now they still sack a zombie to take out the Green Suns. Potentially. I wonder what they grab with the Memories Journey. 3 cards. Potentially a Reanimate to try to speed up the clock. I saw they had Reanimate. Ley lines, 4 packs. A little bit quicker would be nice, but they could be thinking of something that I just am not aware of. Maybe they're trying to work out the damage of the extra 2 from the zombie compared to us having all the Green Suns together. Maybe there's a world where they can get rid of the Wild Cantor. No, they have to keep the Wild Cantor. I was going to say. Ah, there we go. That's cool. So the Memories Journey. Turn Reanimate Spirit Guide. Okay. All right. Stage is pretty nice. Just in case I want to use the fetch for Dryad Arbor. So we know they have a green, the Reanimate. Okay. Spirit Guide. Okay. 2 cards left. So they do have a Reanimate left. The question is, do I just fetch for Dryad Arbor and block here? They take us down to 10. Reanimate gets back. What's the worst thing it can get back? I think most things are 2 power, 2, 2. 2. So yeah, I think just... I can also bog in response to reanimate if I really want to. Okay. Get the forest and then get rid of the forest for the mortuary. I'll put that on top. What's this? Yeah, I could have fetched there, go to 8, and then we still have 2 blockers. Should have definitely fetched there, I think. It might not actually be relevant, but you never know. Because they have to go to their upkeep next turn, and they have no way to draw or put cards back. Opponent says GG, so we have 1. Nice. Very cool to see our opponent find some sort of line there after we Faerie Macabre. But hey, getting up against Ouphe is always nice. To be fair, they did go to 4 game 1, and then we just had the Faerie in game 2 in the opening, so makes it a lot easier when those sort of things happen. But we also had Faerie in the deck, and we can't control mulligans, so typically a pretty tough matchup. Leyline helps a lot, as its graveyard hate that plays around Pact Negation, but doesn't play around the Cycler that deals with artifacts or enchantments, or even Stern Dismissal, I think it's called. Return target creature or enchantment to its owner's hand. Faerie Macabre plays around pretty much everything other than Cabal Therapy, which obviously Leyline does. So there's definitely advantages to each against Ouphe. But yeah, it can be tricky. Even if they like don't go for it and try to get like a bridge line down that can get there before we can, especially with Reanimate as well. Reanimate hitting one of our creatures is pretty rough. It would be cool if Ouphe just ran a weird creature that when it comes into play it deals damage. I feel like there's a troll in Pauper. Then when it comes into play it deals damage equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard potentially. Anyway. Have a pretty cool piece of content coming out next week as part of the Sylvan Syndicate. Got a few people within the Legacy community to talk about Legacy, what they like, what they're playing, why they're playing what they're playing, any specific card choices and what they're targeting within the meta, and just generally more positive, you know, why are they enjoying Legacy right now? Because there is a boogeyman, that's for sure, but I don't mind playing against it. All right, here we go. Up against Paul with a pretty sweet hand. We'll keep this. Savannah Noble. I like Savannah Noble because it allows us to use the Noble before potentially Bowmaster. And if they want to bolt the Noble, then it's 1 less card to bolt, or 1 less bolt for the Reclaimer. I'd be pretty happy with a fetch land here. I think that's going to be the case. Hey, Nest. That is a great question. That is a question that I think as there's been more cards added to Legacy, it's a lot harder to kind of acknowledge the main differences in red and black. Black's power, I would say, is currently better than punishing or red. And that's mainly because you're seeing a lot more of it. And you're also seeing, oof, double echo. Yeah, a lot more red. Pyroblast isn't at the greatest spot, which is pretty brutal. So there's sort of less incentive to play red if Pyroblast isn't that great. If you're a Maverick player, you have some pretty nice choices when it comes to like the Y. But yeah, it used to be kind of like black was a lot better against combo because you had Thoughtseize. Red was better against the go wide creature decks because you had Punishing Fire. But now with things like Plague Engineer, Orcish Bowmasters, that's changed a bit. This is actually a tricky one. The Ooze doesn't do a whole lot against Echo, which kind of sucks. I wouldn't mind getting rid of the Saga, but then like, are we really in a position where that's relevant? Could just go for Knight here, get that down. I don't mind getting Knight down, especially just to have a threat on board, which also deals with Saga next turn if it comes down. Could have also played the Cradle. I kind of like having two targets in the deck for Knight. Vault of Whispers. Okay. So obviously in this case, Green Suns for Collector Ouphe, once for Collector Ouphe is looking pretty good. A fair bit of combo. One card we don't have is Deafening Silence, which kind of fits the same slot as Thoughtseize. But I kind of see Deafening Silence as like a Thoughtseize for all ritual effects. Okay. Obviously, Bowmaster with Echo is pretty brutal. So if they have LED and Echo as 2 of their 5. Okay. Fiend. I think here I like play Cradle, play Fiend, as that allows us to move towards Collector Ouphe, and then also Swords the Bowmaster. So let's play the Cradle. Swords Orc. Play Fiend, as that gets us towards. And then I'm going to get rid of the Savannah here, just because we have Windswept Heath for another white source. Saga finding LED next turn as well is pretty nuts, so pretty happy to take care of that. Fiend Artisan also being a 2/2 is quite nice. If we get to untap with both of these, I'm feeling very good. Hey, High Star, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Always appreciate you having you in chat. Okay. I could have taken out the Vault, but because A, I was scared of LED next turn off the Saga, and B, because we're going towards Collector Ouphe, I didn't want to hit the Vault. Choose a card name, reveal cards from top of your library until you reveal a card with the name, and put that card into your hand. Exile all other cards revealed this way. You lose 1 life for each of the exiled cards. So they can hit up to the 22nd card. Hey Dom, very cool to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. I wonder what their name, if they're a Beseech deck? Or if they're trying to hit extra mana, potentially? Like another ritual? Dark Ritual, okay. Go to 4 mana. Gaia's Will. Yes. I wonder if that means they're just a Tendrils deck. It's pretty cool. What do we have for the board? Soulless Jail is going to be pretty cool here. The Thought Seizers, the Force of Vigors, even Pick Your Poison. All right. Yeah, honestly, a lot of this is pretty good. The fairies, I don't mind, but they don't do anything against Echo, which is a big one. I'm pretty happy to cut the Grist. A Knight. Ooze is still strong. Karakas, I think, could come out here. Maybe there's a world where they're running Shieldred. The swords I could probably come down on, but I do want to have answers to Elvish, sorry, what's it called? Orcish Bowmasters. We got up against Ouphe spells. I'm going to drop some of the mana dorks. I could even just see just 2, like 1 of each. That's kind of nice. The Fiends are strong. Teague is good, obviously hitting Beseech. Pick Your Poisons. Soulless Jailer. Maybe the Renegade Rallier. We do have endurance to get things back into our deck, which is kind of cool. I can definitely see opposition agents somewhere in the list, so it's a world where we want an extra sword. Honestly, it could be Reclaimers and then keep an extra sword. That way we still have like a few turn 1 plays. Okay, I'm pretty happy to keep this, especially with Force of Vigor. Can also start off with the Once Upon a Time. And then Liberator pitching to Force is kind of nice because it kind of deals with the same thing. Best case is find a Mana Dork off the once. So we have a turn 2 Collector Ouphe. It's kind of a just in case if they don't play something else. I've gone to 5 cards. Here's the once. There's the Hierarch. Land. Fetch. Savannah. Into Ignobled. If they Chrome Mox here, I would be pretty happy to try to hit it with a Force of Vigor. Yeah, so here, luckily we get to play around Beseech by forcing these two. I think just pitching the Liberator at this point, because we have Green Suns for Collector Ouphe, which kind of deals with the same things. But this means they don't have the 4th mana for Beseech, but also the artifacts or enchantments to get rid of. Wow, 3 mana and pass. That's really good for us. Fiend is pretty cool. I think I like just going for Green Suns for Ouphe here because it turns off all their artifact lands as well as Lotus Petal. I think I'm more happy to do that than play I'll get the Teague or Double Spell. Which, you know, it's a powerful turn when on turn 2 you're not double spelling, you're doing something else. Nice. Oh, we can actually double spell because the Karakas doesn't tap for the color we need. Interesting. I think here though I like the Fiend Artisan because it allows us to go and grab Teague to kind of shut this game out. Okay. Again, they did go to 5, so. The Doorkeeper Thrulls are pretty interesting. On the draw, less incentivives to play them. Hey Panda, too kind. Hope you're well. I don't know if you have any interest in Highlander, but Chris Humphreys up at the coast has started getting a team together at the card house to play some Highlander, which is pretty cool. I think we're just going to run it back. I don't want to think about it too much. Yeah. Has it been wet up at the coast? I know there's supposed to be a lot of rain coming towards us. This is a 1-lander, but it has a bit going for it. Like, pick your poison in the open is kind of cool. The ones can potentially fund another land. It doesn't have like a force, but it's kind of a 5 because the knight is a little bit too far away without a mana dork. Maybe I should think about this a little bit more. Yeah, a lot for a dry summer for sure. Is there a better 6? Probably is. Let's be honest. Like, what's the plan here? The first once is most likely finding a land, and then we're trying to just go turn 1, pick your poison if they have an artifact or enchantment. Hey, Punishing Waterfall's too kind. Watching at the gym? Go hard. Go hard, son. Yeah, I think this is just a little bit awkward in like how I want to play out the game, that I'm pretty happy to mulligan towards a hand like this. That isn't too bad. I'm going to keep this, put back the Underground Mortuary. The Soulless Jailer here is pretty cool. This is probably a matchup where I would really like to have Leyline, because it turns off both the Echo LED lines and also the Beseech into Gaia's Will lines, which are two that I have a pretty hard time dealing with. Oh, can you imagine the Force of Vigor here? Wow. They probably sack this for black as well. Unless they want to keep it for another echo. Well, nothing we can do here. The best thing we can do is draw into a Force of Vigor. No. Okay. This is kind of the situation where Pick Your Poison allows them to have the choice of what they want to get rid of. Oh, they can't choose yet. Yes, of course. Apologies, because one is an enchantment, one is an artifact. This is turn 1, by the way. They've already cast 4, 10, 11 mana worth of spells. Plus a storm count of 6, plus 3 mana. These are the ones you kind of just got to take on the... Yeah. One card that comes up when I think of these sort of strategies is Mindbreak Trap, but I'm typically a fan of, if I need the Mindbreak Trap, then that's a matchup that I'm probably going to lose 80% of the time anyway, that I'd rather allow them have the turns that Mindbreak Trap could stop and try to just focus on more winnable situations and matchups. Definitely a force check style start that sadly we don't have access to. Maybe one day. To be fair, Endurance is getting better at being a force in a way, but just not the same. Yeah, it's very challenging. I do find like when we get a turn or two, those games are really powerful because you do get some choices that can really matter. But sometimes you just gotta let it, you gotta F6 and just let it roll. Yeah, like I think Force of Vigor in a lot of ways is a Mindbreak Trap, especially in the situations where you can turn off a Chrome Mox. And yeah, a trap in itself is a bit of a trap because you're just gonna, if you accept those losses and focus on the more 50-50 style matchups, I think you're going to have a lot better time when it comes to results. But also, if you're a trap player, play it. I've had fun with it. I love it when no one thinks you have trap and you have the trap. Veil of Summer. In that sort of matchup, Veil of Summer is a fantastic card. Obviously, you need a mana to cast it, so it's not great on the draw, typically. But saving yourself from Tendrils, saving yourself from Thoughtseize, your creatures or yourself from Orcish Bowmaster. Pretty great. And useful in a lot of matchups, which is always nice. Finding that flexibility is a real art when it comes to sideboarding. Yeah, Spirit Guide decks with Veil, like Turbo Depths, are really appealing when it comes to a metagame with cards like Tendrils or Bowmasters or Thoughtseize. You can really get some people when they don't see the line of Spirit Guide into Veil, which typically a lot of people don't, let's be honest. There's not too many matchups where you're thinking, oh, what if they have this Spirit Guide and the Veil? But yeah, potentially that's a matchup where I should just mulligan to Force to Vigor, but that can be a bit of a no-bow strategy, kind of like the Leyline, multi-Leyline strat. 3 spells, 4 lands generally I'm happy with, but Cradle and just 3 lands. We're not doing anything in the opening turns. Fiend Artisan is open to Orcish Bowmasters unless we like Endurance, which, yeah, pretty happy to mulligan this. This is much better. I think we're just going to bottom 1 once and then keep the other one. Oh no. Basic Swamp. Well, we're gonna cast the once. Reclaimer. Reclaimer's kind of cool. I could take another land. Like, I'm really thinking of Ritual and do Opposition Agent, but if they have that, they have that. I'm pretty happy just to try to get this Reclaimer online. Okay. Nice. Troll. Okay. We do have the Endurance if we really want to, but also having the swords in hand makes me pretty happy about this. Well, now a little bit less. See what they do here. They didn't evoke first, sadly. That would have been pretty cool. They take the sword. Interesting. Well, now we just get to hold up Bojuka Bog, which is kind of cool. Bojuka Bog nice here because it also turns the Fiend Artisan on the following turn. Okay. I kind of hope they don't think about Bog, and they might just think, wow, they're not even attacking. See, I think if they attack with the Orc there, it's very low. There's no chance that I'm blocking that. There's no chance that I'm leaving the Reclaimer open. Maybe they think I have a Sajiri step. I think in this case, I'm happy just to turn this Wasteland into a Mortuary. They got Karakas. Okay. Here, I'm pretty happy just to play out the Ooze. It being a 2/2 is kind of nice. Okay, well now my Reclaimer's a 3/4. Interesting. So the stage isn't doing anything this turn. I probably don't want to play the Arbor into another Bowmaster, so I think we just play the stage and hold up Ooze here. Maybe there's a Shieldred deck. That could be a reason to take the Karakas. Okay. I think just maybe one more turn and then we can start attacking. Ooze here doing a lot of work. They play their own Karakas. Grief is fine. I think we just allow this. And then next time we just cast what they take. Hey Jorg, welcome. Hope you're well. I don't want to trade the Skoos with the Grief, the Orc, and the Bowmaster. So here I'm just going to play a land and then just pass with the Endurance Open plus Ooze. In no real rush at this moment. That's true, they could have taken the Karakas full age. That's a great point. Here, just from a damage perspective, I'm probably happier to cast the Endurance. And I don't mind giving them back these cards. Yeah, this is the Harry special. The only difference is I run an extra Bowmaster. Okay. That's pretty cool. At this stage, I could probably just attack with both Endurance and Reclaimer. Maybe there's a world where they have another Bowmaster, but they want to use it to take out a Reclaimer or the Ooze if we double block. Yeah, it is pretty hard. Like, Bowmaster has just so much potential. Okay. Yeah, that's true. You never really draw the one. You have to kind of find it with the Fiend Artisan or something else. Wow, okay. Well, they got the little agent, but nothing after that. What do I like here? I don't mind the fairies. Ouphe can come out, most likely Liberator. Dismembers, I don't mind. Let's try the Solar Shaler as well. I'm going to go down on Mana Accelerants. And just keep this. Seems pretty cool. I still like having the 3, like one of each against these sort of decks, especially with Wasteland. Against a deck with a lot of basics, this is a pretty easy mulligan. Okay. Bottom the Dryad Arbor. We have mana to play around with, which is nice. Okay. Preacher of the Seas. Pretty happy just to get a Bayou here. Actually, might just be a Savannah. Let's look at our mana base. Yeah. Whenever this attacks the player with the most life, or tied for the most life, create. When it attacks, you may have... Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this right now. The old 2-for-1. Thanks, Dark Ritual. Okay. Probably the Reclaimer here. Yeah. Pretty happy here with the reset as well. I'm going to keep the Misty for Mortuary. Just because we do want to have a black source. At least Fiend Artisan at this stage is pretty big. Jailer is pretty cool as well. I will go for Bayou. Just fetching now to play around Opposition Agent. Nice. I want to hold the Cradle. Yeah, the 0-4 body is very annoying for them. Snuff out. Okay. So they've played 2 Wastelands. I'm just going to hold the Cradle here. Worst case is we draw another land that we want to play. Like, probably just the land Mortuary. But I think just like this getting Wastelanded would kind of suck. Oh, they kept on top. Okay. Nice, and this is a great reason as well, is like they don't know what this card is, but obviously it's just a land. So the 2 life there is pretty significant. Nice. That's actually a really nice pickup. I will just play it now and then attack with the Reclaimer. Reclaimer and Ooze in this sort of matchup has been really strong. Ooze, not really needed. It's kind of a backup to Jailer, but it's also just a second threat, which is great. And then it's passing. Alright, let's eat Preacher. Let's eat Noble. Let's see Reclaimer. Ooh. If they have opposition agent here, I kind of like just holding the Green Suns and attacking to see what they do. Maybe there's a world where they cast opposition agent and just double block. Oh, nothing. Yeah, then we just make it lethal, right? Yeah, okay. Very cool. Currently 2-1. A pretty tough one for Mono Black. They do have some trump cards, like Bowmaster can be good. It's not a great threat. You have opposition agent, but once it's in play, it's kind of known about, and it doesn't stall us too poorly. Like, we're not a deck with like crop rotation and, you know, relying on Green Suns, relying on Reclaimers and Knights. This is kind of a 6 with the Dryad Arbor. The Karakas is like, the mana is just a bit awkward here that I'm pretty happy to mulligan. A no-lander. Yeah, we're going to go to 5. Okay. I'm pretty happy to keep this. I'll drop the Knight and I'll drop the Fiend. This way we have 2 mana, Swords for interaction, Endurance for interaction if we really need it. Okay. This is probably just Troll. So I think I'm happy to just play Wasteland Pass. And then when they cycle Troll, hit it. Okay, so we'll let the Brainstorm resolve, and then we'll Wasteland. There's like an odd world where they might daze to save the land, but a very odd world. Okay, no black. That's pretty cool. Nice. All right, let's start this off with fetching for Savannah. I also like that Reclaimer puts a lot of pressure on the opponent to realize the power of Reclaimer. Are they a Dark Depths deck? Do they have something like Sajiri Step to the run flagstones? Wow. They take the Green Suns. Interesting. They're pausing. Why are you pausing? Vapor Snag? What is this? Remove the Reclaimer before I get to play a land and have up its ability? Okay. Pretty happy to pass here with Bojuka Bog open more than play the Noble Hierarch. Wow. See, I put a lot of that win on taking out the Underground Sea, because obviously they didn't hit their black mana. They got rid of an Entomb. The Brainstorm mustn't have been great either, and we should have also picked up that the Brainstorm was a lock, thanks to this not being a a fetch land. We're going to side very similar to the last one, which is pretty much these. Ouphe, Liberator, some number of mana dorks. I think that's really it. I'm pretty happy with that sort of trade-off. Reclaimer also being a low to the ground threat is really nice. Not having to rely on something like another Reliquary, etc. to take over the game. Now this is a little bit of a tricky one. The Fairy in the open is great, but the mana's not great. So I kind of see this as a trap hand where we can't really cast anything we have, so this is much better. We also get to put back the Dryad Arbor, so we'll keep this bottom Dryad Arbor. We have 2 ways to accelerate turn 1. They go for Island. Okay. Maybe they've learned from their Wasteland. They chose not to shuffle. Okay. Ooh, another Fairy isn't the greatest. Go for Savannah into Dryad. It's actually second Fairies is kind of nice because if they take 1 with, say, Grief, then they're not bringing back anything. Okay. I think here it's not actually a mana dork we go for. I think it's just going to be a Reclaimer. They attack. I'm happy not to block this. I'd much rather lose 2 life than lose the Reclaimer. Okay. Interesting. Hey, Eternal Magic, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying being back streaming. They are going to go for it, which is interesting. Okay. I think here I just like holding up. So I could Wasteland them if I really care about just like a hard cast Grief, but I think at this stage I'm happy to play the Bayou. Probably get rid of the Bayou for Thespian stage with 2 mana, and then the following turn have stage 2 mana Dark Depths. That's very true. That's a really good pickup as well that they did have with the Blooms. They are a bug deck, but we have not seen a green source yet. I could also just play the Depths. Like, I don't want to play the Depths because they might have Wasteland, but if they have Wasteland, there goes the whole plan. So I think I'm actually happy just to play the Depths and then keep this as an unknown card. And I think that the mana from Wasteland is much more important for us than it is taking them off a mana here. Fun fact, I went to an event earlier this year, CanCon, which is a big sort of Magic event. Actually, a big miniatures card gaming convention that has a magic element. And I played in a few events which had multiple rounds, so I played against maybe 15 opponents. All of the opponents were in formats where Wasteland is a key card, and each of them I asked, what does Wasteland do? And all of them said, oh, Wasteland destroys a non-basic land. None of them mentioned that Wasteland also taps for mana. Which I just think is really interesting, because a lot of the time Wasteland is just best as tap for one more than destroy target non-basic. They're going to reanimate Fiend. I am going to fairy this. And they have 2 cards left. There's no great attacks for them. So let's get rid of the Wasteland. I think if anything, if we lose the combo, I want to have good mana left. And seeing that I can't play around removal, I don't really think that I have sorcery speed removal. I'm thinking of like a bounce effect or potentially Sheoldred's Edict. I'm happy to make this in their upkeep. Just to play around Wasteland, which we have seen. But yeah, I've definitely learnt the hard way with Wasteland. Wastelanding Delver with 2 lands in play, and like maybe I've taken them off their last land and I have 2 lands and 3 drops in hand, and you just never draw the 3rd land, and your opponent just goes like land, you're like, ah, that was it. Just gonna copy now. Yeah, so the one reason that I like, or that I don't like, once upon a time in especially turbo depths, is that you want to keep a hand that has access or actual copies of both pieces. So Dark Depths and Hexmage, Dark Depths and Stage. Or Dark Depths crop, Stage crop, Hexmage, Sylvan Scrying, Dark Depths Sylvan Scrying, Stage Sylvan Scrying, Sylvan Scrying. Probably not that, that's probably a bit too slow, but if you keep a hand where the once needs to be Dark Depths or Hexmage or Stage and it isn't, then you've just given your opponent probably 2 turns additionally. Where something like Sylvan Scrying, you know what you're getting. And I think that's the key in Turbo, is knowing with your opening, okay, I'm going to be able to combo off on turn 3, instead of, okay, if this once hits Dark Depths, I'm going to be able to combo off on turn 3. Okay, there's the petty. That's fair. Hey, Lucky, a big thank you. I didn't see that comment, but I appreciate the background work. Okay, there's once. I wouldn't mind finding a land here. This is pretty interesting. I kind of want another threat. But yeah, I think it's really tough because with Scrying, it's 2 mana. You know what you're getting. Sometimes once is free. Obviously the rest costs 2 mana, but you don't know what you're getting. So number 1 butt snipe in the land. Love it. What am I really scared of? Not much, honestly, but I do like that the 3rd land unlocks any 3 drops off the top. And I'm pretty happy here just to fetch for Savannah, to play around anything like a fetch effect. We're not really winning the race here either, so I will just hold back. Maybe they just pass turn holding up Brazen Borrower. which honestly would be a great target. Wow, okay, so they're going to grief. I think here they got rid of a reanimate, so I feel like they have another reanimate style card that I'm just going to swords the grief here. But now the brazen is a bit of an issue. Okay. Could get Scavenging Ooze. Ooze is kind of cool because it grows up to a 4/4, which is pretty nice. Could also get Fiend Artisan or just another Reclaimer. Another Reclaimer plays around days. Attack to 18, and then we have 6s over 3 turns. The last card might be, so they pitched a reanimate to the grief last turn, so I feel like it's a reanimate spell, but they just don't want to use it on, say, the Faerie Macabre. Because I think if you can't cast the grief, you're probably just waiting until you find that 4th mana, especially already having double black. So I feel like if you're going for the free spell, you're also wanting to maybe animate dead it. Because we were tapped off Reclaimer and therefore tapped off Bog. I don't mind Ooze. I think the extra 2 damage, the extra 2 life as well could come up. Sadly, no script, but script would be pretty cool here. I am happy to attack with the Reclaimer. It means that I'm not blocking with the Skoos next turn, just in case they do have another Bowmaster. But we take 5, but then we gain 2 with Ooze. So we take 3 essentially. Yeah, and see, there's the reanimate. So the Skoos kind of forced it, which is relevant. Like, they take 3 with reanimate, but they save 1 off the Ooze. Verdant. Okay, that's pretty cool. Oh, Dryad Arbor's in the bin. But that is a way to get an additional creature into the bin, potentially. Get Mortuary, and then see if it's a creature we don't care about, like a Mana Dork. Karakas we don't care about, we'll put that in the graveyard. And then... how do I want to attack? We're definitely eating the Dryad Arbor. So we have 6. They could double block the Ooze, which is kind of rough. I don't want to attack too slow. What do we have? What else do we have? Nothing great with the Reclaimer. That I think I'm happy to attack with both. And if they want to trade Fairy and a token, maybe it's just the 3. I think it is just the 3. And then I get to pretty much save 2 damage here. Because they probably won't attack with this unless they have removal for the Ooze. A little bit tricky. Alright. Endurance would be a fantastic draw. Just in case of a Murktide as well, I'm happy to eat some of their stuff. I don't usually see Murktide in these lists, but you never know. Oh, there it is. There's my boy. Okay. That makes me pretty happy to probably make the same attack with just Reclaimer. They're currently at 2 cards. I'm also pretty happy just to cast the Endurance right now. Give them one less chance to potentially draw into something like a Force, which they might have taken out, but I'd rather play a little bit safe than try to get them in combat. Okay, that's really good, because now we get to attack with everything, and then swords potentially a double block. The question is, am I okay with this? The only reason I wouldn't be is if they have their own reanimate spell that I think I will just take out the Orc here, kill the Fairy, and then eat the Fairy. Then having a 4/4 is really nice. Correct, borrower can't block. It's always just a small thing that I forget. Can you imagine if there were ninjas and I got ninjutsu'd here? That would be awful. So they have to have another blocker. Because even if they block the ooze, they take 6. Eat Fairy. Yeah, pretty back and forth, which is always really nice. Wasteland. Okay, that kind of forces what they're going to do. Nothing. I think we still attack with everything. Okay. Is there a world where they can rip something off the top? No. Because we get to eat the other Bowmaster, I think that puts us above. Because 3, 4, and another Bowmaster is 5, but we can eat this Bowmaster. And we're just going to eat it now. Just so I can got a 6. Yeah, opponent definitely giving themselves the best outs, which is cool, but thankfully that 1 damage from Ooze, or that 1 life gain I should say, just too good, which is nice. Hey Captain, thanks for the follow. Hope you're doing well. And a big thank you to each of you for coming in and watching. Always a pleasure to play on Twitch. Yeah, I feel like they were trying to potentially hold the Bowmaster for a position where they could trade with a creature with just the 1 damage. Not so much just like an X1, but maybe finish off the Reclaimer after blocking it with 3 power. It is always really cool when games come down to like the turn. But it can be tricky. Like drawing that endurance was the big thing. That endurance was literally game changing because it means they could no longer attack with their flyers. All right, Master. A little bit awkward in that it's a lot of mana, but no big payoff. But we do have the Verdant to go and get the Surveil land. That I don't mind it. We aren't going for the trophy. I could see a world where you put this back for a hand with a bit more like direction in what you're actually going to cast. Okay. Having the Bog in our hand is actually quite nice for this matchup. I'm going to assume it's not a Punishing Fire version, but I think I'm happy here just to get the Forest in play. And then get the Noble down. Nothing. Okay. Another Mox. I think Tomb is sometimes a one-off, potentially in green-white. Oh, they're going to go for it. Well, thankfully here we do have the sword. Can you imagine if we draw like Collector Ouphe? We have sword into Collector Ouphe to turn off the Moxen. They're down to 1 card as well. Okay. So I could Bog now to stop them from getting 3 of these. Like if their last card is Loam. But I think I'm happy to Swords this, Bog them. If they have Loam, they have Loam. But I'd rather not give them the targets to get the 2020 back. We also get to play out our other Ignoble, which is kind of cool. Okay. We're definitely playing the fetch this turn. Another land is pretty rough, but that is fine. I wonder if they draw with the canopy here. I think because they're probably looking for Loam, they're happy to. Wasteland's fine. Really want to try to find a Green Suns. Reclaim is pretty good as well. It's not the greatest, but it is a pretty good... I mean, we've already used a Bog, but... I do like it as a threat. play the Reclaimer, and I will play Windswept just so we can turn it into a 3/4 if we really need to. Well, our opponent's going to do that for us. Okay, 2 cards left. Land Loam would be very good. Land Bog. Not the worst, honestly. It is nice. Green Suns would be sweet because of the Reclaimers, but that's fine. Play a Reclaimer. Play a Savannah. Attack with a Noble, and then just keep up the other Reclaimer. Ooh. Okay. That's a pretty strong play because it gets back, obviously, the Wasteland and also the Canopy. Interesting. They tap the Karakas. I don't think we go for depths, obviously. I think it's probably just another fetch land. Yeah. So that we can make these Reclaimers 3/4s as soon as possible. I kind of hope they take out the fetch just because it's tapped. Nice. It at least leaves another land in the bin. Or in the deck, I should say. Hey Ben, hope you're well. We will fetch. I don't mind just getting Dryad Arbor. Just to push through 7 damage each turn. Obviously the Wasteland's there. They could also play Wasteland, hit their own Bog, and then replay the Bog. But yeah, another land is not great. That's very true. We could go and get a stage and then copy our own forest. That'd be kind of cool. Still pretty happy with this. Scavenging Ooze as well would be a pretty sweet card to draw into. So I think at this point I'm not going to play another land. Bowmaster doesn't do a whole lot. Happy just to keep swinging. There is a world where you play them just so they Wasteland and not Canopy draw a card. But Blast Zone is a great draw. Yikes. Get a float black here. They didn't draw in response, which is kind of nice. Maybe that helps. That's pretty interesting. Sadly, we don't have another basic. But the Fiend is even a 6/6 is kind of cool. They can play the Blast Zone this turn and the Wasteland, take us off the Bayou, and then tick the Blast Zone up to 2. Soul Guide here is good as well, because it gets rid of all the creatures to make the Fiend a 1/1. I kind of hope that we draw Green Suns. No. Interesting that they allowed us to Fiend for 3. Which I probably wouldn't mind just fetching and getting a Endurance. Oh, they don't have the exploration anymore, yeah. Or potentially the line is just attack with these two, and then get rid of the get rid of the token for Outland Liberator, and then take out the Crucible. Because we can't get Wasteland this turn. And they can put Blast Zone up to 3. So yeah, I think we attack first. Okay, that's our last land. 1, 2, 3. Get rid of the token. Liberator. And yeah, I think we just take out the Crucible now. They then Blast Zone to 2. And then take out our board. But then we potentially have some mana to try to get there. They have 1 card left. Pretty happy with that. Obviously don't want to play the Dark Depths because they are a stage deck. Okay, still just 1 card left. It's a pretty good draw. And I think we're just going to get in here. I don't mind forcing the Soul Guide because now I know what I'm playing with. Sphere at this stage isn't too bad. Obviously with the port it's a little bit upsetting, but otherwise not too bad. Okay. The little elves that could. Okay, 0 cards for them, which is really nice. I think if they use the port here, I'm happy to use 1 Reclaimer. Yeah, so let's... maybe I get rid of the Savannah here. I don't want to get rid of these because I can just use them. Could also just draw. And then the depths could be the card that I get rid of. I don't mind that. That's actually kind of... no, because it takes an extra mana. Play the depths. Attack with Reclaimer. They could be playing the land Echoing Deeps. Hopefully not, but that would kind of suck if they are. I'm just going to get rid of this now as well. And just get a Wasteland, I think. Let's have a quick think. Cradle's also pretty interesting. I assume they would tap it down, leaving us with 4 mana. Yeah, I think it is just a Wasteland. Interesting. They didn't play a land. They didn't cast anything. I'm going to take them off the port. It could be a crop, which I wouldn't mind. Play stage. Play noble. Get rid of a Savannah, turn on Reclaimer, get another Wasteland, and now attack for 4. Some versions I've seen with 2 Endurance main, 2 board. Their own Savannah. Okay. Ooh. I think in this case we're just getting Endurance and turning off their graveyard. They only have 1 card and they don't have Sage or Depths, so they can't combo off that way. Nice, very cool. Bit of a puzzle. And to be fair, like 15 turns, no loam. It can happen, but very lucky for them, or for us, that they didn't hit it. We like the Pick Your Poisons forces Faerie Macabres. I like taking out the Bowmasters. Grist, typically. Players can't cast non-creature spells from Graveyards of Exile. That does stop Crucible, but I think we have better ways to manage Crucible. Pretty happy to go down on probably the depths, to be fair. I don't mind the stage because you can copy Saga. It could just be a sword. I'm typically not too scared of Marit Lage. No. Like, I really want a way to punish their fast starts, which are the ways that lands usually gets over Maverick. So having like Force of Vigor or Pick a Poison is pretty vital. Okay, happy to keep this. We have great mana as well. I'll bottom the Cradle. We're good to go. Another green card would be great. Nice. And we're just going to lead on the Reclaimer. You 3-1'd with blue-green 8 mulch with Meloku, the Clouded Mirror at F&M. Very cool. That is very cool. Okay. There is a world here where I don't mind taking out the canopy with Wasteland. Just because they only have so many green sources. And obviously not having crop rotation up is also quite nice. Much happy to see just green instead of green-white, so Swords to Plowshares isn't currently on the table. Speaking of. Interesting. So this is a spot where I could actually Faerie Macabre my own Wasteland, and I'm probably pretty happy to do that. Wasteland's pretty key in this matchup. And once we have the Skoos online, we kind of have our own Faerie Macabre on a stick, so I'm happy to get our own. I did click, right? 1? Yeah. Nice. Hey Goif, welcome. Hope you're well. Right, now we're in a great spot. Because now we have the Ooze, we have a green source they can't really interact with outside of potentially Ghost Quarter or Rishton Port, which to be fair is a lot more than most other decks. Oh, wow, it is. Wow, I should have taken out the canopy then, for sure. 100%. Alright, 2 swords down. Pretty happy with that. Another threat is pretty fantastic. Yeah, I could have hit canopy in ways. That's a really good... a really good learning. Tab's annoying, but not the worst, so let it slide. There is a world where they have endurance, which is kind of lame, but if we draw a land here, I won't care about it. Wow, another sword. Okay. A very reactive hand from them. We can also get this Surveil land end step, which is cool. Okay. This is where you can see swords and other reactive cards can get a little bit tough. But that's life. Once potentially finds the other Faerie Macabre. I'd probably rather them once than a random card. And because if I find a Reclaimer we can cast it, I'll use this. There's the Fairy. Okay. Yeah, get the Fairy. And then hit the Loam, hit the Surgical. I don't think it really matters. Could take out a Sword if we are going to hit them. Ah, they get to use Canopy. That's a mistake. I guess there's no real great way to play around that, but yeah. I should have definitely seen that. Little things here adding up, like obviously the first Fairy, the second Fairy. Yeah, I think we're in a pretty rough spot to try to like get out of this, so happy to go to board. Pretty happy to run it back as well. Really just want to get like the other side of our deck. Pretty happy to keep this, I think. Wasteland's kind of a spell. The Force of Vigor is a few turns away, not too many. It's not great against the Loam start. I'm actually talking myself out of this as well. Okay, much better. Keep this and probably just bottom one Green Suns. Keep. I think it's too greedy to bottom a land. Like find a land with once. Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Turn 2 Knight. I think I'm okay with this. Could also try to go for like dropping once. Keep Green Suns. Oh, okay. Well, actually, this actually works out pretty well because we get to the Noble Hierarch instead. Let me just go Savannah into Noble Hierarch. I could go Forest if I really wanted to play around Wasteland, but happy to go Savannah, Noble. But yeah, I think with these matchups as well, it's key to know, like with time, if you're behind, concede, go for it. Happy to pay. Happy to go for the Surveil land just to see if we can hit another land. Nice. These can be pretty tricky starts as well. I will cast this. Speeds up the clock. They also pay for themselves. That's fine. That's a great pick your poison target. So let's pay like this. Keep attacking, keep pressuring. Faerie Macabre would be a great draw. Each opponent sacks an enchantment. So we really need to find a removal spell or a graveyard interaction spell. That's not it. I think that sadly is just going to be game. We don't have great outs to the tab in the Wasteland lock, so that's going to be it. But we do go 3-2, which is pretty good. I think lands generally is a pretty good matchup, but if you aren't really packed with graveyard hate, then obviously the Loam tab Wasteland lock will get you pretty hard. I'm going to run. A big thank you to all of those who came in and watched. I'll be back potentially sometime this weekend, but who knows. I'll quickly see who else is streaming. I think Mengu was playing some Legacy. Modern Pioneer. No one, unfortunately. But thank you very much. Have a great week. Catch you next time.